The base model of the Dell
The HP Elite X3. This is one of the first prototypes out there. I've been playing around with it for the last few minutes. It's actually a really, really nice phone. I think HP has just hit it out of the park here. Let's go over to specs quickly. We're looking at about a 6-inch display. It's actually, I believe, 5.8 and a half, something like that. It is a 2K display, so it's about the same resolution as a 950 XL. You got Gorilla Glass 4 on top here. The design of the device is really, really fantastic. I'll show you why. Coming over here to the buttons, you can see we have a standard power button and 2 volume keys. The power button, of course, is chrome and it sticks out a little bit more, literally. It's actually a little bit more prominent, and that's a great thing because you're going to be turning it on and off often, so you want to be able to have access to it. Volume keys are a little bit lower, and you can definitely feel them, but they're slightly recessed, which is also good because you don't hit volume very often. So I really, really like this design. Of course, there's no dedicated camera button, which is a little bit of a downside, but we'll let it go for now. Coming to the front here, we have these dual front-facing speakers, the Bang & Olufsen ones. Nice metal grille here. These are supposed to be very, very good speakers. Very excited about that. This phone is built for enterprise, so it's going to be for Skype calls, and so you can be able to hear everybody. Also, noise-canceling microphones on it. Coming around to the back here, we got a 16-megapixel f2.0 camera with an LED flash. Should be a pretty good camera. We have to do some test shots, and plus this is an early build, but it should be kind of cool. Down here we have these cool little pogos, that they call them, 5 pogos. This is going to be for accessory makers so that companies can basically build jackets to go around the phone so you can use it in the field for basically like scanning things, basically anything for medical, whatever companies want to create, that's going to be the access point for that. So HP is not expecting to do everything themselves. They're looking to partner up with companies. That's what those are for. And in case you're wondering, HP tells me this does have Qi and PMA wireless charging on board as well. So they've really thought of everything and put it into this device. Coming down to the bottom here, USB Type-C port, of course, so that's going to be for your quick charging as well as continuum. Coming across to the top here, of course, headphone jack, pretty standard. And other than that, it's a very clean side. You do have the dual SIM ports here. Let's also talk about some other crazy specs. Internal memory. This has 64 gigabytes of internal memory. I know a lot of people have been asking for that for a long time, so 64 gigs internal, plus micro SD expansion, in theory up to 2 terabytes. Right now it's up to 200 gigabytes, but still you get that picture. Front-facing camera here, 8 megapixel, pretty amazing. It actually does 2 images at the same time for low light performance. Of course, there's also the iris scanner on here for access, for unlocking the device, but they don't stop there. Now, you don't see it here. This is one of the first prototypes, but there will be a fingerprint scanner here on the back as well. It's basically the same way that's going to be in the Nexus 6 device right now. So you just put your finger and tap it, it'll unlock the device. So you'll get both on here. In terms of the processor, we're talking a Snapdragon 820, which we don't know too much about. It's still a very new processor, just starting to hit the markets now. 4 gigs of RAM, so you get a lot of power there. It should be really good for basically powering Continuum, which is what this device is meant to do. And other than that though, you got a lot of built-in apps here. You see all the HP stuff. A lot of this stuff like HP Workspace will be coming built into the device. I imagine you could probably uninstall it if you really wanted to. I can also tell you AT&T is going to certify this device. So they won't necessarily be selling it direct to consumers, but AT&T is going to certify it so that it will work on their network, and it can guarantee that to companies. They're working on Verizon apparently, but nothing there to report yet. This device will launch in the US, but also 10 other markets worldwide. And so you're going to have one version for the US. Will work on most of the carriers for for AT&T and T-Mobile, and there will be another version for Europe that will have up to 15 band support, I believe, so it can work globally. So that should be very cool. And if that wasn't enough, this device is also water resistant and basically waterproof. Apparently it can submerge up to 30 minutes of water and it'll still work. IP67 certified. You can drop it from 4 feet up and it won't break either. So basically a pretty solid phone. The material itself is sort of like a polycarbonate plastic with metal at the bottom. I think it's a great design, keeps it light. And it's also super thin, and that's the crazy part because this has a 4100 milliamp battery, which I have yet to hear of in a phone this thin and this size. That is absolutely mammoth. To put that in perspective, I believe a Lumia 1520 had a battery size of around 3300 milliamps. Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely around that. So this is a huge, huge battery. Should give you power all day long, and hopefully with those optimizations for the Snapdragon 820, should be able to power things all day for you. Launching late summertime. I think this is going to be a phenomenal device. I'm very excited about it. Of course, we have to talk about the accessories too, which we'll get to next. So this phone is not complete unless you include the dock, which supposedly will be included with the phone itself. So we're looking at a very high price tag. This dock is crazy. It is absolutely heavy, and that's what you want. It is got a lot of chrome on it. Just feels really solid. Of course, you have your LED light there in the front. Just plug it in there through the USB, sits in there nicely. You can use the phone, and then of course it connects up to a display. You do have quite a few ports here on the back, including looks like a few USB, you have, I believe, 2 USB type A ports, so those are the legacy ones. Of course, you have your display out, power, and it looks like an Ethernet plug there as well. So this phone and dock can do everything basically your computer can. Of course, you can't run x86 applications, but that's where the virtualization stuff comes in that HP is working with Salesforce and other companies on. So that's going to be the basic workaround for now, until someday we can fit an x86 processor into these phones. So perhaps one of the coolest accessories that's going to come with this device is this thing right here. It looks like a laptop, and it basically is, except it doesn't have a CPU in it, nor memory. All the information comes from the phone itself, so it's going to transfer wirelessly, connect over here, and you can use this as a full laptop using the phone as the main processor. Now this device isn't on right now, and it's basically one of the first prototypes that they have of it, so we can't actually demonstrate it. But it's got a full trackpad, you got the Windows key. In fact, the keyboard feels very much like the Surface Pro 4 keyboard, which I'm psyched about because it's such a good keyboard. 12.5-inch display on here, and basically folds up here, and very portable, light, feels great, matches the design aesthetics of this phone, and more importantly, this has a huge battery in it. I believe it's about 48 watt hours, which should power all day, especially considering it doesn't have its own processor on board. Very cool stuff, but you do get all these neat ports as well, so look forward to that. So there's your first look at the HP Elite X3. It's coming out later this summer. Of course, we'll have way more information at Windows Central. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody.